We wait for the delay, Trina. Wait for the delay. It says we're live, but the question is, are we really live?
I think we are live.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome. We speak favor over you. We are of service to you, so you be of service to others. That's how BOSTO works. Trina, I got my Sky Pilot here. We give the big virtual hug. Today, we're speaking the hugs, particularly for the folks down in the Louisiana area. They're sinking down there, Trina. They've had so much rain that
God.
it's just getting terrible. Anyway, big hugs to everybody, and the world needs more hugs, Trina.
You know, we do.
Yep.
Hugs
Now
are
that they've let it
magical.
free, no mask. You can imagine this. We can hug each other now.
Absolutely. And you know, they're magical. They literally create like 1 million chemical responses in the body
Oh,
upon
yes.
contact. It's powerful mojo.
You know, that's like, giving a person a high five. It's that contact, because yes,
the magnetic energy.
yes, people don't realize what that actually does. You're already in a very heightened electromagnetic thing, and then you're gonna
like,
boom, baby.
Yeah, that's why they always have the superheroes doing that, like pounding fist, and that's why we do that, because we know the power of it.
Yeah. Just lay a little loving on me. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
Everyone, happy birthday to those who are having one. Welcome to A Second Chance. You know who I am, my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. And how are you, Wayne?
Any better? I would be, I used to say guilty, but I was never really that innocent to begin with. So I would say that I am exceptional.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Great work.
Yes. Isn't it? I mean, we all like that thing of being exceptional. Yeah.
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 I like that. Yeah.
My wife says I'm exceptional many times.
I love it.
Yeah, she says you're not the normal individual, she says. But anyway, and seriously, you folks down there in Louisiana and Texas, y'all going to get hit next week. And for those on the East Coast, particularly through the southeast up to the Del Mar Peninsula and that area up there, get ready, folks. In about 2 weeks, you are going to be under probably triple-digit heat. So get ready. While the West is absolutely, it's cold here today, Trina. I was telling you before we went live, we've had the heat on for the last 4 days because it's it's cold.
I mean, great. It's almost hot here.
Yeah, it's 52 degrees and raining right here now.
Yeah, I think we've got to be up in the at least high 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't checked the temperature, but it's warm.
I'm not complaining. We still have trees that haven't leaved out yet.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. Well, welcome everybody in the chat room. Robert V, how are you doing? Loretta, hello. James, hello. How are you doing? Won't stop here in Denver. Exactly. We love the rain. Just keep it up. Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, send them all love.
I love it. I love it. And this is what Trina and I think, of everyone. I always keep this little guy here because this is how much we love you.
Oh, I love it.
See, we love you that much.
I love it.
That much can be like infinity. It's like, okay.
Like, again, the power of a hug.
Yes. Yes. There you go. I love it. Who else is in here? Cheryl, how are you doing? Sally, good. Hello. David Castle, you're just a real joy no matter what. Troy and Constant, how you doing? Teresa, how are you doing? See you guys on Friday. Eyes to see. Hello, Marie. What you up to, girl? Nina, good to see you, hon. Emerald Eagle, I got a full house. Spirit Woman, good to see you. Posey, they're coming in. So
love them all.
Oh, they're just, this is an oasis.
Yeah,
it really is. And
so group.
I do shows, pretty much during the week, but this one, the audience is, well, it's the tribe, but it really is the tribe. I mean, it's like, lay a little loving on me, lay a little loving on me.
Absolutely.
Baby dong dong, and I can't. Anyway, so so what's going on? What's
Oh,
happening in your world?
working on my dog
Yeah,
and
Zodiac, you said her is doing better. We know.
doing a lot better.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, going forward with that, we did get the big C word diagnosis. So, but no worries. We will work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And she is doing so much better. And tumor was gone in 10 days. So we just have a little bit more
So
fun.
now it's just kind of, is it in the blood, the cellular?
No, it's up in the sinuses.
Okay.
Hmm.
But the C, I don't even like to talk the word, but
Me neither.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Mecca says, I love hugs. There you go. Well, you're in the right group. Welcome, by the way. So good to see you. Woke
yeah.
Dealer. Hello, Claudette. What's happening?
Hi,
We got people from
everybody.
all over the freaking world in
Love
here.
you guys.
I mean, you know,
Your show yesterday was fun. Oh, wow. I'm so glad other people were getting like wowed too, because wow, that
got
was
15 emails, Trina, with virtually that word in every email. I
yeah.
knew it was going to trigger. I knew it was going to trigger a response. And wow, Batman. I mean, hello.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember I told you when I came into my body and I had that vision. And guys, I wasn't born with that information. I got that information through a protocol I was doing when I was in school, when I was learning my healing modalities. And that was the most profound situation, was exactly, and it was very interesting because I was born at 7 months, just like the story. There were so many coincidences to what I remembered and that story. It was literally, it was profound confirmation. And so many people were shook by it. It's like, because something inside you, it was remembering. It shook you because it's triggering you, because there's something in that that you need to remember too. And it is so interesting that that's how we work. It's like these deep truths will
mhm.
get triggered in our cells, and we can't consciously make sense of it, but our body knows.
Yeah, I mean, so much. And this is, I'm going to continue the study on this because it's there were two groups that basically I got emails on, and that was those who had the strong telepathic sensation with their mother, and then
Mm,
the other group was the awakening or accepting that they were rejected by their mother.
yes.
And it's hard for people to accept that, but that is a part of this reality.
Absolutely. And there's
Giving children is a biological effect.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's in the Jello mold. When
Yes.
the first 5 years basically set your personal reality, which becomes the personality of you. It's a hard layered program for sure. So
Mm,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it is. And,
And like you said, we were just saying that the body understands more than the consciousness, but the opposite is true for children. See, this is when you're an adult, it's operating in this way. But when you're a child, it's reversed. And you understand the parent better than they do. And that is frightening. And I have memory of that.
you
That,
see, there's
mm,
something deeper here as well. The Vedic, Marsha Price, we love you, girl.
mhm.
Marsha, I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that there is a group that I know that we were connected in many other radiations of this reality. But she sent me something, and I'm going to bring it out on Thursday. That, are you ready for this?
Mhm.
Okay, so everyone just clear your mind for a second. We're talking about the birth of us. Each and one of us were a single cell. We probably didn't enter the body. It's very clear that in the embryonic stage, it's
Right.
really a biological creature more than a sentient being. Did I
Yes.
say that correct? I think I
Yes.
did. Yeah.
Yes.
And
That's
that
right.
here's the strange thing. I now realize I didn't enter into my body to almost the point of birth.
Me
Um,
too.
Now think about this. In the Vedic, it talks about what this is hell, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to describe to you. Every one of us went through hell to get here because we literally lived in our own urine and feces. That's what amniotic fluid is. Now, the mother, if she has strong kidneys, will keep filtered out, but it's primarily urine that you're living in, you're completely growing in, you're gestating in. I mean, and in the Vedic, it goes on to say that this is hell. This is what the baptism you and this is it blows my mind when you start thinking about this, what we are subjected to. We were free spirits. The thing that we love most about us, and this is where they put the punishment is that when we have to sit in our own feces and our own urine, that this is how we come into this world.
Bathed in blood and then traumatized and then poked and made to bleed and spanked and hung upside down and ripped from your mother. It goes on and on and on.
But I think that thing that for 9 months, though, that's what we are actually, that's our environment, is urine and feces.
Yes.
We don't think things through. We don't think about coming into this. We try to romanticize the experience here, but quite frankly, the ticket when our number was called, that's why most of us resisted coming here. My question is, and this is what I'm meditating on, all right, I don't remember my name, which is good, because if you don't know my name, no spirit can have dominion over me.
Yes. Isn't that
Oh,
great?
baby.
Isn't that great? Oh,
See?
yes. Yes.
That's
Yes,
kind of like the protective clause in the
yes,
contract,
the firewall.
because if
Firewall.
you remember your name, you're going to speak it, and
Yep.
then you're screwed, tattooed, and blued, baby.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So this whole experience now leads me, then what the hell happened? Seriously, what happened? Did we really voluntarily come in? Did we actually choose our parents? I don't know. I mean, there seems to be some evidence to that, but
Mhm.
and then this is what I was meditating on this morning, Trina. I said, all right, I don't remember my name. And and then it came to me, my guide told me, you don't want to remember your name.
Right. I know. Right.
I went, okay, all right, check
Hey, we
that off the
belong to
list.
the same group, I think.
So I checked that off the list, and then
Right?
I thought, then I'm
Like,
going,
okay.
I went, all right, so now here's the thing. Am I old at this? In other words, have I been here before?
Oh, yeah.
Or am I just one of these new beings that just got created and this is my first rodeo? I
I
checked off, no, it can't be the first rodeo
mm-mm.
because I do have memories of past lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we would be what would be called this divergence way, the ones that don't fit into the boxes and the ones that think outside the box. And I think last time we got lassoed, we were like, all right, well, we aren't going back until it's going to get crazy because that's what we're good at. So we probably had to wait a long time to come back because we came back at a specific time because we're known to be those types.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That and by the studies they're finding out, the vast majority of us apparently said, all right, I'll be willing to sit in my own piss and my own, et cetera, for 9 months
Yeah.
because there's a show coming that only
Yeah.
comes around here every great cycle.
Yep. I think so.
I
I do.
think so too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, that's why we really didn't want to come back because once you spend time in the in between for a long time, you really want nothing to do with this shit show.
There had to be something that was so freaking spectacular, so
It was
rare.
because we're increasing species consciousness. We're evolving an entire species into, and like I said, but there's a dual system here. So there's the bifurcation of that evolution. So we were
Speaking of
to
which,
give
there's a
part.
paper that actually we're going to look at that says there's an interesting phenomenon happening to us Homo sapiens sapiens. And
Yeah.
that is us of the 21st century. We're almost getting close now to the quarter century. Fundamentally, there is a difference in our brains from those of the 19th century. There is something that happened in the 20th century. It looks like it began about the mid part of the century, and we're seeing now the effects of that in us. The study says this: by population, there are more people seeking what we would call higher consciousness, trying to define consciousness. And, it's what we studied yesterday. Where does my consciousness exist? I practiced this,
Yeah.
Trina.
Yeah.
I know where my consciousness is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready? This kind of really blew my mind.
Go for it. Yeah.
I know exactly where my consciousness is. And if I just meditate very quickly, my consciousness literally hovers outside of my body. It's
Yep.
within the corona chakra, but it is literally hovering. And folks, I got the picture very clearly. It's like an inch, maybe 2 inches.
Yep. That is so profound, Wayne. That's exactly what I see. And that I see too is, if you know how you get to the higher mind consciousness, it's like a gate opens up. You can,
Yeah.
like, it's like you've been transported. And that's, I think, the true thing of it would be the 8th chakra, which is the infinity loop, which connects the lower dimensions to the higher dimensions. And I see that is the gate, the 8th. It opens the gate and unlocks all the 7 chakra seals. So you are now accessing the higher dimensions all the way up to the 13th.
It was an interesting revelation because I saw the top of my head, and I'm bald on the top of my head, and I saw 2 moles that I hadn't seen before, and I snapped back into my body again, and I went, literally what I said is, what the heck, what just happened there? Dancer, who was sitting next to me, she jumps up, her ears are like that, and I said, wow, now that was that's weird, because it brought me, because it's this consciousness thing.
Yeah.
I am consciousness. I may be more consciousness than I am a soul or a spirit.
I think
It may
so.
be something what we define consciousness as, because we want to give it personification.
I think that's the first principle, is the consciousness. I do. Yeah. I think that is the first, because you can have nothing, and as long as you have consciousness, you can create anything from consciousness. But if you don't have consciousness, game over.
I'm glad you brought this up, my dear, because I want to discuss. You just brought up something. Give me a
Remember,
sec here.
Wayne, I told you too that I saw us with these little like diamonds over our heads, like the Sims characters.
Mm-hmm.
That was my that was my little connection point. This little diamond thing, it's like floating over like a Stargate, I'm like, that's how I travel, because that's my real consciousness. It's there, and that consciousness is the only way I can connect with higher consciousness. I'd see it like a Sims doll with a little diamond over its head.
I could, yeah.
That's
Here, Jong Won Kim poses this question. This is Metaphysics of Agency and how to solve it. The fundamental problem with mental causation for us materialist, because we're all materialists. We live, as Madonna would say, in a material world, girl. Anyway, then is to answer this question: how is it possible for the mind to exercise its causal powers in a world that is fundamentally physical?
this is the gate. You got to get to that higher gate.
It shows something that we have missed. I mean, how is it that these minds have the ability not only to exist, but to interact, and more importantly, causation? mentally we can actually cause an effect on a material plane.
Yes, we can.
So is that consciousness? Is that spirit? Or is that will of soul? What are we?
To manifest in this material
Mhm.
realm, that's why they're so always talking about the Trinity. That's when all three agree. That's when the higher self is sending forth the code or the information to like the soul, which is attached to the causal, the energy bodies, those energy bodies. So you've got first the radiation coming from that thing above you, and then it hits the egg, the shell, the energy body of you, and then it goes into the physical body. It's a process. So none would work without the other. So
Interesting.
yeah.
I'm sitting here and I'm living two simultaneous realities, because as I sit here, I'm beginning to, what will you think about this? Consciousness.
Yeah.
I have never considered a hierarchy in consciousness, because in essence, consciousness it's not substance. It may be substance. It may be all substance. I do not believe that consciousness needs a spirit, a soul, or a body. I believe that consciousness looks to blend with these, as you said, that forms the higher self, because the higher self has to be in a state that it is able to blend with all other consciousness. And you can't have that if you have a identity of personification that I am Wayne Steiger.
Correct. If you're holding form, you're not going to be able to get there because you've got to be
Yeah.
able to drop all form and
So
under.
that's why
Yeah,
consciousness does not completely merge with the body,
correct.
which the soul inhabits.
Correct. Well, it does, but like I said, it's layered, and none of it would operate at all if you didn't have consciousness. I mean, lights out. It's
Well, maybe
you
there's a
know,
field that actually is,
yeah,
electromagnetic field that's emanated from this thing we call consciousness, that surrounds the cranial part, that we have the sense that thought is actually coming from within.
and that second delay, like before an accident, how your intuition
Hmm.
and all that is proof that it's happening in the energy field before it hits the physical matter. That's how we have that warning. Because
Facebook proved that they could read our minds. I don't use
I
Facebook,
know
don't
they
even go on
yeah,
there. But
absolutely.
their algorithm watches the dilation of capillaries around the nose, the eyes. It focuses in directly. They have the technology, and they can predict ahead of time what your response is going to be.
Absolutely.
So that kind of tells me then, what if consciousness is using the same technique, just on a much more refined level?
I think that that's it's an imitation of what of that which is organic.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to say is that consciousness is not the body, but
No,
consciousness is in this weird weave. I guess it's like watching a tapestry being weaved, that it it sends the thought, and because of the finesse of the mechanism,
hmm
that the body then responds. In other words, I think I want some tea, but my body is saying, well, no, I don't want to get it right at the moment. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah, you've got all these personalities. That's the three in you. Those three are always arguing. They're always yeah, yeah.
Someone says consciousness is having a human experience. Now, I think monkey experience, that is really more true than what
Mhm.
people realize.
Well, I think having any experience with consciousness is going to be a full experience. I mean, who's to say people on different existences they're having an experience too, and
Yeah,
potentially different species living on this planet amongst us, they're having an experience. We're all having an experience, but
I
that's
love some of the comments here. People are really getting into
consciousness
this.
is the ability to have an awareness of 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 everything. It's the appearance of an idea. It's the ability to process thought. Um,
I love how you processing this, because we had queued up, folks, that consciousness, I think it is the fundamental mystery.
Yes,
And
it
I
is.
believe that those who find it, I believe that they literally can be transported from this plane, because they become a real danger in basically kind of upsetting the apple cart.
Yes.
This is an abstract paper on what produces consciousness. I just want to read a couple sentences here, Trina, and we can talk about it. Consciousness is the major, perhaps the only issue that makes the perennial mind-body problem unsolvable. To solve the problem, it is necessary to identify what produces consciousness. Every attempt to explain what produces consciousness has failed. And this failure is venom in the discoursing the mind body problem. Without consciousness, in the real sense, the materialist within their framework would have succeeded in explaining how the body responds to impulses from the brain. Now, their explanation is redundant. An inner materialist would have had nothing to say, but now their explanations on the nature of mind and its relationship with the body is confusing. This paper critically elevates the concept consciousness. It observes that materialism and immaterialism have created more problems than what they have set out to solve. Their mutual exclusive positions on the source of human consciousness and explanations of the relationship between the mind and the body have closed the door to remove the venom from the mind body problem. This mind body problem, as I'm researching this, Trina, is a huge conundrum.
Remember my client, she was ready to heal, and then her neck said, nope,
Yes.
nope, won't do it. Yep. And I had to work with that part of her system, which was identifying itself as her physical neck. So
See?
yes, these
Yeah,
things, they talk, they have voices and
they
consciousnesses of
do.
their own. This is what I mean. This body is a vehicle, and it has its own operating systems, which are connected to the solar logos and the internal sun, which codes the entire planet. So these are codes of light that we receive in this realm that make everything here on this material plane what it is. And the thing is that our consciousness has been programmed and hijacked, and it's been told what to say, what to think, how long you should live. All these different rules and all these jello mold formative foundations were placed upon us when we were infants and children, and that keeps you from remembering what you knew when you were born. And when you were born, you remembered before you came here, you remembered your mission, you remembered so much more. And this is what we need to do, is remember what we know.
Remembering, yeah, and I'll conclude on this. This doctor went on to simply say that, in his opinion, is that the human, every human yearns to know the true nature of reality. Based on the foregoing, he said this paper argues that consciousness is the product of both the body and mind. The mind is seen as the quasi material, an extension of the main brain. The source is likening to the signal received by a digital television set. The decoder receives information from the satellite, just like you were showing and saying, the higher consciousness, and presents it to the human being in understandable ways. Without the satellite dish, there would be no such information without the television set, and such information would be meaningless.
Correct.
Boom.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
is. It is, in fact, a huge conundrum.
Yeah, it's the whole movie Avatar. It's like, after I had this realization of this was really going on, then
Mm-hmm.
the Sims came out, and I'm like, that's what I was seeing. And then Avatar comes out, I'm like, holy smack. And it was so funny because I told my kids, I says, we're Sims characters. They were like, Mom, stop it. I said, no, our spirit downloads our crystal, and that makes these little dolls walk around in this reality. They were like, Mom, you're crazy. Then when Avatar came out, they're like, Mom, you have to see this movie. I was like, told ya.
It
I was like, told
does.
ya.
Well, it
Yeah.
brings the complexity in my mind of this whole thing, that we call reality. I
Yeah,
mean, it is just freaking bizarro when you think about it.
totally is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to get 4 screens
Yeah.
here going at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously, I have never thought more about consciousness in the sense of its impacting on the transition. But I got it this morning. I go to school, and in the lesson today is, here's the thing. You see, we have this idea that when death comes and the brain stops, and in medical science can tell you exactly why you see the light and etc., because medical science says that consciousness ceases when the neurons stop firing. Well, there's a other side of that argument that says, no, we know something physically happens to the body. It's a 28 grams, I believe, and something physically happens. And today in class, what I was shown, you see, consciousness hovers. It's integrated to this body. It's integrated in ways that we philosophers have tackled this for thousands and thousands of years. But in
Yes.
the moment of death, it's not as great as a transition as we think, because the consciousness is in this ethereal place to begin with.
Oh,
It's both
it's
observer and
never, yeah, it's
experiencer.
never not there. Yeah, it's
Yes.
always there. Yeah. And Wayne, like I said a couple weeks ago, I had the most amazing experience where I got to feel the love of my higher self
Mm.
from this little doll running around here with this little part of my wow, it was so overwhelming. The love, like, oh wow, it was almost, it's a wow, is no words, no words. It was profound. It's like this higher part of you is that part of you that we kind of associate here in this matrix as the savior or the god part of this reality. It would be that part of you. It is so potent and so wise and so filled with love, and the love, it is you. It knows you intimately, and it loves you, and it understands all your struggles. It understands all of it. It is the most profound thing.
That's what I really enjoyed about Gary Nicholson's book, The Triad, is that there is a love that so supersedes it
Anything here.
supersedes existence.
Yeah, yeah, there's no words.
Yeah, you can't. How do you explain it? There is no power, there is no force that can tear it apart.
No.
It's even above, I believe, the ability of source to separate. I really do believe that there is a love that can exist in that intensity.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah. It's kind of
It
like Joe versus the volcano, when Joe and Meg Ryan, they jump into the volcano and the volcano spits them out. Why?
Yeah.
Because they were really in love, the
Yep.
metaphorically part. But it's true.
Absolutely. See
Yeah.
the power of that. That is the power. It
And
is.
I think
And
that that's the true wisdom teachers. I think many of us are guides already. I think some of us are here for simply refresher courses, because in our next mission, we're not coming back in. We're probably going to be the ones helping this new reiteration of humanity that's going to be emerging out of this finality that is
Mhm.
here. It's not coming, it's here. And I think that this is what maybe part of the mission is.
Yeah, it's remembering and collecting all of your
Hmm.
steps, because it's so weird. The way I've always seen it is that there's probabilities, and those are what people would consider timelines. So based upon the choices that you're making, art is putting you into different timelines, different realities, and some of those we're not living through. So we're dying, and those parts of self are coming into other parts of self, and that's kind of what I see is happening with our soul. Like we're gathering parts of ourselves, and now it's really important to try to find out as much as you can about yourself and what you came here to heal, and what was your mission. What did you came here to work on and overcome? Because You want to bring this stuff out to the light so you can see it, so you're properly armed and ready to handle it and tackle it. Because this is what I think the grand finale, a lot of it is going to be about, is you testing you.
Well, that's why I wrote the thing. You see, I think, and this is just I had it in my meditative time. There's things that come to me. See, I believe the vast majority of us are time travelers.
I do too.
I think that we're living in the future.
Hmm.
That's why we have the ability to have memories of the future
Yeah.
that hasn't even unfolded yet. And if you think about time in its full dimensions, time, I believe, is unlimited in its dimensional impact. In other words, forward, backwards, up, down, sideways. That I think that maybe many of us, we have to be trying to have time travelers, because if the reality is this, you only have two buckets. Either we all came into existence when we were born, which I don't buy that, or the vast majority of us have been existing for a very long time. And I believe that place where we come from, time is not relevant, but we are expert studiers of time.
I think we created it.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about your mission. I mean, if you look at what it's becoming very well known, teachers. There was a prophecy that spoke of the end time where teachers would become um, widespread. And I look at the platform that this is on, and there's other platforms. What is really going on here? There is a vast amount of teaching. It's like suddenly there are teachers everywhere.
Remember I told you there would be like many Jesuses. This was the whole
Mm-hmm.
concept, was this was what he did. This is
Yeah.
what you do. This is what you were supposed to do. Yeah, be like Jesus. Be like Jesus. This is what he meant.
It's kind
Many
of like
teachers.
holding up that diamond and seeing the refractions, the fractals
Yes.
of,
And yes. And
yeah,
then the really weird part is how many of us are actually parts of each other, because it's your big self is huge. Huge.
whose?
Like all of
Oh,
our,
oh yes.
yeah, like
I think that's
your,
the problem when we get into these bodies. We are unlimited.
well, yes. And oh my gosh,
I mean,
the Lord,
claustrophobic.
yeah, he's like, if you guys could really understand how powerful you truly are, he's like, it would be game over.
Exactly. I mean, I come out of the Christian doctrine, but one of
Mhm.
the things that I knew, in fact, it was probably one of the things that helped propel me to get out of that, was the fact when you begin to realize that in the book of John, in the book as well of Hebrews, in the book of Psalms, it says we are gods.
Yeah, that's what he would tell me. He said and that's what I taught my children, focus on yourself,
Yeah,
because he would tell me that all the time. I would be blaming this or blaming that. He goes, you're creating. Stop. Focus on yourself. Create what you need to create. You need to stop letting this create for you. He would teach me those valuable things. And that's why I understood things a little bit different. And I hold a lot of responsibility for everything that's in my life. So it puts you on a different path when you start to understand like how things have been so twisted for what we were taught versus what it was really meant. It's like, this is about you. Nobody can make your reality but you. This is all part of your planning, your intelligence, your desire to experience certain things for your own growth, because you are doing this for you. And the you that you wanted to show up would benefit everybody else who was trying to do the same thing to benefit others. And it was a group project of us working to lift each other up through remembering who we are.
yes. It's someone said that, there is the thought that we're all of the same. We're all, just many different
No, we're all different.
visions or experiences of the same. If you think an original theory, the original thought theory, that it all started from a singularity, even the cell, and the cell self divides within itself,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Which, in one way, I could see how that could be totally true, because bottom line is what grows within life is based on the coating of the water it sits in.
Hmm.
So just like a stem cell. It can become anything.
It still freaks me out that the whole thing of the 9 months gestation and the fluid. I mean, there is something that I'm going to study this more. And Marsha, I tell you, it affected my dreams last night.
Yeah.
That
It's
there's
the
something we're missing here, something profound, because this is what I know. You see, we get the idea that the other realities are very far away, the other dimensions. They're not. They're literally coexisting in the same spatial dimension that we are right here.
That's so weird, Wayne. I just saw myself cut myself out of that serpent again. And it's like, this also represents that you are giving birth to yourself. I was like,
And that is kind of the journey, isn't it? Is that,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
self. It's fascinating. And now that we know that we can actually go back and have memories of a pre-birth experience, that to me is so revolutionary in its potential of what can be discovered there.
And there's so much more in there.
Yes,
There's so
yes.
much inside of your cells, inside of you. That's why they always say it's within, it's within.
Mm.
Well, yeah, because you have the library of all of the multiple dimensions of you existing simultaneously right now. You have access to 144,000 different points of light existing within you through these gates opening that you can travel through. And this is all connected to the divine wisdom of consciousness that's encoding all of this avatar. So your codes and your frequency are unique to all the other avatars running around here, because that part of you that's creating this doll is coming from that magnificent part of you that is unfathomable and unspeakable in its awesomeness. And that's literally, it's you. And if that part of you was birthed from the source thing, whatever that big, like, don't go near that, you become it, and then there's no more you. Yeah.
You just triggered a thought in me, Trina. It was part of that paper yesterday. The fact that the vast majority of humans are born with this low self-esteem, this low self-image, and it seems to be the whole process of the birth, the time we come into this thing, is that we put an unlimited consciousness into the constraints of a physical body. You keep that in there for months on end. And when you think about the fact that as you come into this, it's Lynn and I were talking about it, and she says, there's a lot to this. She says, because the way there's 2 points of birth. You have the home birthing, which they find out that those children are healthier, their immune systems are stronger, and they also seem to be, for some reason, aptitude very for learning.
Because their mind is calm. It's not suffering from being fractured and traumatized, trying to disassociate from the experience that is happening to them that they can't stop or prevent because they're too
Thank
small.
you.
And
You
that is
you you
horrible.
experienced it. I haven't.
Yes.
Males can't.
Yes, but I also see this too. This is part of us as a human species understanding the power of an infant child and understanding that they are smarter than you are. They are still existing in the spiritual realms. They are still having full access to the 144 points of light in their coding that gives them access to the higher parts of their consciousness, which is like your own personal cloud of Akashic records, which is connected to your DNA, which is connected to your cellular matrix through your mitochondria. It's all about the chains of you through code, through light. So when we are looking at children and infants, if we were to understand that they are gods and that they know more than we do, and if we could help to unlock our codes from their perfection, we would have a clearer understanding of what we are. But the biggest thing is that we need to understand that these are the most sacred things on this earth. And if they are protected and honored and loved and treated with the highest, utmost respect, it would change the consciousness of the world.
It would, and we need to change that. As Lynn was
That's
telling me,
the
she said,
foundation.
medical science doesn't consider the spirituality of a human being. And
or are they doing it on purpose?
well, I'm not sure because, listen,
Okay.
there is something that takes place, as we talk, as the paper mentioned yesterday, there is conscious memory and then there's cellular memory. And the evidence is it's like the cellular memory is almost like a membrane that begins to coat over the conscious memory. And it becomes the predominant reference source for experience and for memories. Whereas prior to this, we were of a conscious memory of our true existence.
Yes. Without the layers of the flesh, you understand what you are.
So why they beat us down is that we're gods. And the only way you can diminish a god is by continually degrading the god, making the
Fracturing
god
its
think that
mind.
it's helpless.
Fracturing its mind.
Thank you. Yes, fracturing its mind.
Yep. And that's what's been done.
I wonder, you see, this is a whole area, I think, of if humanity, like you said earlier, if we could just overcome what is been programmed, and it's archaic and it's archonic in its origin.
Yes. Those
You know,
programs are what we're running as our operating systems based on a level of which we don't have really a lot of conscious memory of. So the only way to repair those programs is to go into the subconscious mind, to go into different parts of your physical body, because each part of your body holds trauma. It's a map. It's a map of your existence. And it's weird. Sometimes you'll go into the ear and you'll go to future lifetimes. Sometimes you'll go into a knee and you'll go into struggles of a past lifetime or current lifetimes. The body is a map and it holds keys and codes and information for all of your experiences. And this is all it is unlocking them. But you cannot unlock them through your conscious mind. You have to get into the subconscious mind. And this is the part that's the link between the body and the consciousness. The subconscious mind is the divine feminine. The divine feminine is the link they try to hide from us because this is the potency of if it's going to work or not. This is the part of the Holy Spirit that produces the alchemical responses in the body. So without that divine feminine, which is the darkness, the potential, the womb, the magnetic essence of you, this part is the element that we have to learn how to operate with, which is the power of the divine feminine, which is the mother, which is magnetic, it's intuitive, it's alchemical, it's controlling all of our
it's Lilith.
Yes,
No, I'm
it's
just
what
saying it. You just described Lilith. I mean,
yes, that's what it
um,
is.
yeah,
And
I
like I
know
said,
her.
the moon has been hijacked because that's our trigger.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the magnetic.
It was, if, and I know Lilith in many different ways, but that that reality, and we're immersed in that reality, that is what they did, is that they removed her.
And yeah, you
And
can't deal with your subconscious mind, Wayne. You can't fix anything in the matter. The physical matter will only change through that gift of the alchemical processes of the mother. And they're activated through the spinal column, which is the messenger of God within your body. And then the mother again goes to the cranial nerves, and then again the father goes to the pineal gland. It's this balance of power
if
that
we could only get the vast majority of humanity to see this, regrettably, it's I think it's going to take the first big shock, and I think that first big shock is not that far away, and hopefully we can get people to. Right now, you see, there's that path of enlightenment. There is one professor who wrote that we've actually entered into the second dark age. He contends that when we emerged, about when the Industrial Revolution began, we began in this time of great enlightenment. We were free of the Renaissance with its impact of the church, that man was moving forward. And in that short 300 years, man progressed more than man had progressed in the last 12,000 years. Then something happened. And his contention is that we were taken over by that which we invented. And now that we live in a monetary, materialistic existence, that has now shut off the Enlightenment. And now we're struggling because this next dark age is trying to consume the light that we possess.
And you know, Wayne, that is absolutely one of the timeline possibilities.
Yes, I can
What
see
I
that.
mean? Yes. So wherever you focus on is where you're going to go, because these are real potentials, because we create these potentials.
Yes,
We
yes,
need to understand that that is just straight up how it works. So
yes.
focus on where you want to be. And when you're diving off into the potentials of these other realities that will manifest, you need to make sure you spend equal or greater time focusing on that which you want to see in your reality, and don't accept anything other than.
Mm.
And when you see shit surfacing in this reality that you're like, I don't like that, simply don't even put judgment on it. Go, oh, interesting, but that doesn't match my reality, and throw it away. You bounce it off of
And
you like a bye bye. It doesn't magnetize to my reality. My reality is what I see. And you literally have to stay very focused on that and work with your higher self, because when you are truly in line with the higher parts of you that have been waiting your whole life to reconnect since you were a child, because it was literally, it was beaten out of us, beaten and programmed. It was literally, it was done formatively, and it was definitely intentional. So we have to repair all of those programs. And when you start to work with the parts of you that you never knew, you will literally see miracles. I mean, they will show up in your life, but you have to believe it, and you have to know this
you
is who
have to
you
believe it.
are. This is your
Yes.
innate abilities, but you've always been told that they aren't. And that is the greatest deception spoken of in the Bible. It was the lack of us to believe in our own self.
We got such great people in here. Someone asked about the Mud Fossil University. I love the channel.
Oh,
The
me
evidence is there. I
totally.
contend we're living in obviously a repeating cycle. I think that the history that we think we know is not actual history at all. I think it's been primarily it's a technique called typology. It's Topology, and that
Yes.
is and this is the spell. I'll tell you, if all of you who are seeking magicians, etc., wizards, witches, the spell is how you cast a spell is this way: is that you take a scene that actually happened, in other words, a geographical scene, and then you paint over it a story that fits into that scene. That becomes history, because now they'll show you that I can dig, and I can show you shards of pottery, I can show you paintings, I can show you mosaics. And that's how every spell really works, is the same way. We're all in a scene. It's just what they're being painted on top of us. Because think about this, Trina. If another consciousness approaches you and threatens you physically, what's really happening here is that you're being threatened from a consciousness that's trying to overwhelm you.
It's an energy battle. They're
Thank
trying to
you.
overpower you
Yes.
and win in your energy. But see,
Yes.
if you know who and what you are, they can't.
Teresa says we had a good talk today. We did. We just feed off of each other. It's like,
Yes,
all right,
we do. Yes, we do.
you
Oh
know,
my,
but
wonderful.
someone said, I like, and who was that? I want to say someone, and I forgot, I saw it as there's so many things going on here in the chat
Yeah, I
room.
bet there is.
Yeah, it's like, I got to take the Evelyn Wynn speed reading class again
Right?
because
Right?
I ain't keeping up
Everybody's
with
like,
this.
I think this and I think that. I love it when everybody's like giving each other I
Boom,
do.
baby.
Yeah, it's
But
beautiful
someone
because
said that the moment of death is the kiss of Lilith, and that's pretty interesting because she grieves. I think she saw a different reality for us than the one we're in.
that
Her
makes
reality would have been where the divine feminine would have had its rightful position at the focal point. No
Lilith
male
reminds
can give
me,
birth.
you know what Lilith reminds me of is that Nag Hammadi reading thunder.
No,
So
yes,
beautiful. That reminds me of the power of
yes.
the divine feminine. And I also see that another great allegory for Lilith would be the fall of the great Sophia and her repentance. And I think now we are in the repentance part of Sophia because through the healing and the remembering, this is how we put it all back together and it restores. It's restorative because the remembering restores. That's why they say the truth shall set you free. Because when you start to remember, there's no more stories that can be told because you know. And
Yeah,
this is the age of Aquarius. No more do we
yeah,
believe. Now we're going to go see for ourselves. And
yeah.
boy, once you see for your own self, there is nothing that can unpop that popcorn. And this is what they've always been terrified of, is because when you start to dive into your own records, you will see what you came to do, the experiences that you've had to put you in positions to be ready for this moment. It's all so divinely orchestrated when you can actually get into the higher templates of you.
Boy, this is so profound because it triggers this, and when I get into chapter 4, it's going to trigger even more.
Yeah,
But for myself, you see, I was devoid of the feminine influence in my life,
we
and
all were,
and
Wayne. All of us. I mean, all of us. I mean, unless you were raised with pagan or witchcraft, or you just
yeah,
had no exposure, none. I don't, there's none.
that's a very good point because it means that we all share this. And my biological mother, rejected me,
Hmm.
and so through life, um, it was uh, a a journey to begin to define, well, what is the feminine? What does that mean? It
Yeah,
was devoid in my life.
yeah,
It's taken me all of my life, most of my life at this point now, to begin to comprehend
yeah,
the importance and the magnitude of our existence being devoid of that knowledge. And like you said, when I met Lilith, the Liber Lilith that I did, I guess it's been almost 3 years ago, no one had ever done that before.
I know, Wayne. It was profound.
Oh, Trina, we'll have to talk about it. I was taking places. There were spirits that, I mean,
Oh, well,
it,
wow. Yeah. When you read those levels, the words are trees, are life, are books, are we, are us. Oh my God. You opened up the tree of Lilith in your home and holy crap.
she
Wow,
came into
Wayne.
our bedroom, and
That's what I'm saying, Wayne.
I
Wow.
don't
That is
sleep.
some,
We don't sleep in that bedroom anymore, by the way.
yeah, because
No,
the
I'm just
energy,
telling you, we don't.
I bet. Mhm.
It's not evil. It's not bad. It's
Power.
just, yes, there is, you can't sleep in there. And there are
Yeah.
times when the room becomes really cold. I mean,
Yeah.
really cold.
Yeah.
But that's what her kiss is. And anyway, yeah, yeah, we don't sleep in there anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the part of this power is understanding the polarity because she's negative power. That's her power
and
is negative.
she is, and that's her
Right.
being. Yeah,
That's what came out of the duality that
yeah.
you don't have a choice because the battery has to have a negative and a positive pole to operate the mind in
And if
this.
you don't understand that, her polarity will blow your mind, as she has done with
Absolutely.
many, many
And
people.
that's why when she touches you it's cold because she draws the heat.
She
It's
kissed me
gone.
here and she kissed me here. I still have the mark on my face where I knew she kissed me. It's still there.
Wow.
And but it was in a loving manner. There was
Yes.
no fear to it.
Yes.
Yeah, there was no fear.
I have felt such tears of I never wanted my children to suffer like this.
Yeah.
It was like she was tricked. It was never intended for things to go like this. And that's why it's up to us to repair what was broken.
That's
So
her grief. She
repentance.
carries that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's hardcore and it's
Mm,
so frustrating.
yeah.
And then for her to not have any support from her children to help put this
That's the
house
pain.
together.
And when
Yeah.
you, if you should ever meet her, I would caution, caution.
Don't I would
I don't
suggest
tell
no.
people don't
Yeah,
even
I would
go there.
suggest not.
But if she
Yeah.
comes, you'll know grief beyond the capacity of understanding grief.
It's just
Yeah,
heart wrenching.
it
It'll wreck.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a love there, and there is a tenderness, but
Yes,
very
there is.
few recognize it.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And she does
Let's
respond
see.
very well.
Teresa says, "Order the cards, damn it."
Yes, order the cards, everybody. Come on
So
now.
listen, and can I make a suggestion over on the website where I guess it's the Crystal Network? Y'all need
Yes,
to make it more plain. I've had a couple of people who said they've gone
you
over there
couldn't
and
find it. Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah,
can't find it.
yeah. You got
So
to scroll
yeah,
down for a while until you see a picture of Al with the cards. But
but it
yeah,
doesn't even say that. It doesn't say order cards here. It doesn't say
no, it's just
anything.
a picture of Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
So
the cards.
folks, if y'all can change that, it might help
Yep,
a little bit.
and it's
Just
Q of Q crystalnetwork.com. So
yeah,
Q.
the link works in the description box, but y'all got to make it to where people go
Yeah,
and
just
go,
scroll
hey,
down a little bit and you'll see it. Just you got to go through a little bit because there's a lot of people on that site because we do have quite a gathering
yeah, it's a
going.
great
Yes.
growth there. I love it, but y'all gonna need to put order cards. Maybe just
Yep.
put a link,
Like right up front, so
Yeah,
everybody
because
can just see it. Yeah.
let's see. One person says, okay, I have not researched Lilith. Dang demons, huh? Yeah, I know that really means the research because it's important. Well, demons number one, Mecca, remember, is from the Greek word meaning divine ones.
Yeah.
Daemon, demons, this is where we get that. So you have to understand they inverted the meaning right from the get-go. So most people who have been indoctrinated or exposed to Christianity, they fear the word demon,
Well, and the demon is basically, from what I was understood, the demon is the devolution one, so the lower frequency of a spirit, and
Yeah,
then the daemon would be the one that's a higher
the
operating
divine
frequency.
ones. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
so it's the daemon and the demon. They're the polarity of the whole.
yep,
You always have in this reality, everything exists in its opposite.
yep.
It is the way it works. That's why I'm telling you, these negative timelines that people see, snap, they are going to happen. They will, because whatever happens for the positive, the opposite will manifest. It works that way here.
It
So
does.
be careful what timelines you guys are jumping into. And if you find yourself in one you don't like, get out.
Tell me what to refund off your ticket. Stop the damn train. I'm getting off of this
Right?
thing.
Hey, Rob, stop.
you know but so if you're going to research Lilith, I would recommend, not being self promoting here, but the library Lilith will teach you, and my family namesake has a very personal relationship with Lilith. A relative over in Germany, he wanted to have coitus with her. He fell in love with her, and he eventually took his life. And it's regrettable that Nick, became. That's what happens when you get up next to that type of energy. It will literally,
Yeah,
if you're,
kill you.
yeah,
They
yeah.
can. Yeah, yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
I think Wayne, I really do. I wonder if she is Sophia.
I often wondered that
Because I know
myself.
that she is, I know she gave birth to Eve.
Yeah, yeah, she did. And she watched her daughter be raped by the very God that the world worships.
Yeah,
And that's hard.
it's so hard.
I mean, the pain, and that's the problem, which with the patriarchal belief system in our world today. This is what's contaminated our world. This is what has sealed our world in a living hell, are these patriarchal belief systems, because we've diminished the female, the feminine, down to nothing more than lust gratification.
Yes.
Our whole society is at it. Look at what Madison Avenue does. Now you've got 9-year-olds who want to look like a hooker. I mean, we have completely degraded this, and you would have thought in this age of enlightenment that we're feminine, rights were always there. Isn't it amazing how we never broke that barrier?
That's what I mean. We've got a real issue with the inversion of the power of the feminine. It's been turned into sex and lust and control and dominance and power, when in all actuality, it's life. It is what creates life. It should be honored as life. And children, like I said, the horrible things that they do to children in this world, if
Oh,
that was stopped and we were starting to understand that these are literally gods because they still have connection to
yes.
force, like you're looking at an aspect of God when you see a child. And if we could start to understand how to tap in to these children to where they could put into a language that we could comprehend the truth of what they know at any given moment, it would help us evolve as a species, because
It
this is
would.
our access to the truth of what is creation and source, because they're still existing in both spaces at the same time.
Yeah. Teresa says, go to the Andromeda page on the Crystal Network. You see a bigger ad. Okay,
There
cool.
you go.
There you go. Well, it's we did go over today.
Oh, well,
But you know, this,
happens, Rain.
you know, it's there is so much world deception. I mean, I look at what's going on. I don't see any of these wars being started by women. Do you?
No, and I don't see any of these wars being started over anything that makes any damn sense at all. And I
No.
think the world is
It's
starting to look at this too and going, why?
exactly
And
why. Yeah. Why? Have we
why?
not learned anything? You see,
That's
this
what
is
I
the
mean.
problem.
I really
Yeah.
do see the look now, instead of people are like, oh, rah, rah. I think people now are going, what? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
For what?
Please
So
give me
I have to
a
pick a
good
side? Is that what
logical
you're telling me?
right. Give me a good logical explanation that we should all just go start shooting and hurting each other.
And I
Why?
say,
Yeah.
all we are saying is give peace a chance.
All I'm saying is, creators, start
Start
creating.
creating, damn it.
Yeah, and send so much energy to it that
Uh,
you can feel it. And as soon as you can feel it, intensify that feeling and
mm,
activate your
mm.
magnetic power, because that's where it comes in, is through the feeling in the heart. Once you can see it like it's real, that's when you grab it and you magnetize it into yourself. And that's when it has to manifest in the physical reality, because all three agree, baby.
And that's the way.
Yeah,
Listen, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
totally. Yes.
Oh, let's stop the insanity.
Yes, stop the insanity.
Stop
Try
the
something new.
insanity. Yes, I think we will. All
Yeah.
right. Boy, thank you, Trina. Now you're on Friday night with the
Yes.
Drama 7 group.
Yes.
And then,
Andromeda 7, Celestial Gateway on Friday night at I think it's 7 Eastern. And then
okay, make sure
Milky
you
Way Soul
subscribe
Tribe.
and hit the alert button.
Yeah. Milky Way Soul Tribe Saturday night, and that is at 8 o'clock Eastern.
Good,
Got
good,
that all
good.
screwed up. I always screw up the times. Mountain.
Now,
Yeah, so
y'all
it's
know,
9 and 10 Eastern Central.
like Teresa says, be groovy and give peace a chance. Listen, it worked for us in the 70s. I mean, I was, a younger man's clothes back then, but still, I live it. I can go back time travel anytime.
You know what I saw, Wayne, a while ago? Literally, it was almost as if the energy of Woodstock was the energy of the Renaissance, and the energy of Woodstock um, literally prevented like a Hitler outcome for our world.
I contend, yes, ma'am. I am right on that bandwagon right there with you. I
You guys
contend
did.
it
You
did.
changed the timeline with the energy of your love, and it changed the timeline, and it created a new timeline. It created a couple different new timelines, and that was the gate that opened up the gate that we're in now. So thank you for being a part of that and being a part of that
And,
world.
and just to demonstrate that even further, I know we've gone over, but Woodstock, the energy that it relieved psychically was amazing. And what the forces tried to do about 6 months later in Altamont Speedway was when the Rolling Stones tried to put on this concert. They wanted to imitate Woodstock. The whole intent, the spirit was wrong. There was a spirit of one person said when you walked into the Speedway, you had this sense of dread. And what happened? There was a sacrifice made that night. One man was stabbed to death right there in the middle of the performance of the Stones. But
Wow.
it was the subsequent rock festivals up until the late 70s that countered that energy. Now, here's my contention. They hooked on to the wave of Woodstock did. And I believe, although the 70s sucked, that it could have sucked a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really could have.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
yeah, so let it live. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you, Mary Wynn. So good to see you.
Yeah, like I said, these changes, they talk about those ripples, Wayne. As I
Yeah.
said, you guys created a ripple that put forth new positive timelines in the current spectrum of realities that were going to happen. And it was because of that shift of consciousness and that desire for peace and love and no war. And that was a beautiful frequency. It was very powerful. We had another ripple that hit too with the 9, and then when you talk about
Mm-hmm.
the master 11
Yeah.
after that
Yeah.
number, that
Mm-hmm.
that was another ripple that they thought was going to be dark, and it wasn't anger, and it was compassion and disbelief, and that was
Yes.
another
Mm.
positive, uh cohesive, collective, all at the same time, where we made a choice on how we would react,
Yes. Yeah.
and the reaction was beyond where they thought it would go, in positive alignment with positive timelines. So thank all of you who literally cried tears and felt such great compassion at that moment, because it really made a difference on our world.
Yeah. We love y'all.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
the
said, yeah.
other ones try to use it
111.
really bad, Wayne, but we win it. We bring
Yes,
it
I
back.
think in the end, listen, as far as I'm concerned, I see my destination, you know, no fear, baby. That's all I got to say.
Right. No,
Yeah.
it's a game. We came here to play. We're
Yeah.
eternal beings. It's
Yeah, we do.
okay. And that's why have no fear and just go for it.
Rock on. All right,
Yeah.
folks, we will see you tomorrow. I have Spiritual Raw coming on. So looking forward to Jay and April. And Miss Trina, much love to you. See
Much
you
love to
next
you.
I'll see you during the week, but
Yeah.
I always enjoy
Much love,
Tuesdays on.
everyone.
All right, folks.
For you.
Much love to you all. We will see you later. All right, bye-bye.